I pretty regularly walk around with a water bottle in tow, and yet I don't think anyone would really say that I have a devotion to hydration, that I am super dedicated to water. Because, well, most of the time it's just in the background. It just kind of exists there, and I grab it in between whatever else I'm doing. But someone who actually does, I think, have a devotion to water is one of my new favorite authors. His name is George MacDonald. He's one of the authors that inspired many of the Inklings, C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien. He talks about water in a pretty particular and beautiful way. He says this, quote, "What I ask is the truth of water. Is it that it is formed of hydrogen and oxygen? There is no water in oxygen, no water in hydrogen. It comes bubbling fresh from the imagination of the living God, running from under the great white throne of a glacier. The very thought of it makes one gasp with an elemental joy no metaphysician can analyze. The water itself that dances and sings and slakes the wonderful thirst, a symbol and picture of that draught for which the woman of Samaria made her prayer to Jesus. This lovely thing itself, whose very wetness is a delight to every inch of the human body in its embrace. This live thing which, if I might, I would have running through my room, yea, bubbling along my table. This water is its own self, its own truth, and is therein a truth of God. Let him who would know the love of the Maker become sorely athirst and drink of the brook by the way, then lift up his heart, not at that moment to the Maker of oxygen and hydrogen, but to the inventor and mediator of thirst and water, that man might foresee a little of what his soul may find in God. If he become not, then, as a heart panting for the water brooks, let him go back to his science and its husks. Let a man go to the hillside and let the brook sing to him till he loves it, and he will find himself far nearer the fountain of truth than the triumphal car of the chemist will ever lead the shouting crew of his half-comprehending followers. He will draw from the brook of the water of joyous tears and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountain of waters." I think that George MacDonald spent some time with water. He allowed his attention to be just totally consumed by some stream, some brook, maybe sitting by the ocean or a great lake, as he allowed himself time for water to reveal itself to him. It takes time to understand and develop a devotion. Mary Oliver put it this way. She said, "Attention is the beginning of devotion." And so if we want to allow ourselves to develop a devotion to any particular thing, we need to spend time with that. We need to allow ourselves what we could refer to as a lacuna. A lacuna is a space, an intentional gap in a manuscript or in a piece of music that serves to emphasize the stillness that exists there. I think that so often in our days we're just filled to the brim with different things that we need to accomplish. We're filled, our days and schedules are just filled completely, and we don't really allow ourselves much of a lacuna to allow our attention to be drawn and held by something. And so I think maybe today we should take time to allow ourselves a lacuna, allow ourselves a momentary pause or break in our schedules such that we can have our attention consumed by something. Something as simple as a stream running through the woods, or perhaps allowing our attention to be drawn to the Eucharist. Sitting in Eucharistic adoration is an exercise in lacuna, in allowing ourselves to be still and allowing our attention to be drawn such that that attention can develop eventually into devotion. Hello, my name is Father David Hornatsky, and I would like to extend an invitation to you, the person watching this video, to come and join us for our parish Lenten mission at St. Mary of the Immaculate Conception in Worcester, February 26th through the 28th. We're going to be discussing how what we give our attention to and what we do prepares us and changes our hearts when we encounter Jesus in the Eucharist.